Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Have you ever held a piece of history in your hands and wondered how something so small could be worth millions of dollars? Today, we are diving into one of the most astonishing examples in coin collecting history. The 1954 wheat penny from the United States, a coin whose face value is only 1 cent, yet it has made headlines for being valued at an incredible $78 million in the world of numismatics. Yes, you heard that right. $78 million for a tiny copper coin that has been circulating quietly for decades. And in this video, we are going to explore why this particular penny is so extraordinarily valuable, the rare errors and unique characteristics that set it apart from other pennies of its era, and how collectors and investors alike are scrambling to get their hands on it. The story of the 1954 wheat penny begins with its mintage at the San Francisco Mint during a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with small variations in coin production, leading to unintentional errors and anomalies that later became the holy grail for coin enthusiasts. And this penny, in particular, is considered ultra-rare because of a combination of factors including its limited circulation, surviving population, pristine condition, and subtle minting mistakes that went unnoticed for years. Collectors and numismatic experts have identified specific traits on the 1954 wheat penny that dramatically increase its value, such as die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes, and variations in the positioning of the letters and numbers, which are the kind of imperfections that turn an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And when a coin exhibits multiple such anomalies simultaneously, it becomes the crown jewel of any collection, fetching prices that defy logic and making headlines across financial and collectible markets. The fascinating thing about this penny is that while billions of pennies were minted in the 1950s, the survival rate of flawless or near-perfect specimens is incredibly low, and the 1954 wheat penny is a rare gem that has survived decades in uncirculated condition, tucked away in collections, forgotten drawers, or even accidentally preserved in piggy banks, and only a handful of examples are known to exist today, which makes its $78 million valuation not just a reflection of its rarity but also a testament to the intense demand among elite collectors and investors who understand the historical significance and the potential for astronomical returns. In the world of numismatics, the story behind a coin often matters as much as the coin itself, and the 1954 wheat penny has a narrative that captures the imagination. It represents post-war America, a time when coin production was ramping up. Mints were experimenting with dies and techniques, and small errors could easily slip through quality control, creating unintended treasures that would one day become the stuff of legend. Imagine holding a coin that has witnessed decades of history, that survived countless hands, and that carries subtle markers of a moment in time. When something as ordinary as a penny could be transformed into extraordinary value through the intersection of chance, skill, and preservation. In addition to its historical context, the market dynamics surrounding the 1954 wheat penny have played a huge role in its record-breaking price, because collectors are willing to pay enormous sums for rarity, provenance, and documented condition, and as auctions and private sales make headlines, each transaction adds to the mystique and perceived value of the coin, creating a feedback loop where scarcity and desire drive the price higher and higher, and the result is a coin that has gone from everyday currency to a symbol of wealth, investment, and historical importance. Another fascinating aspect of this penny is the meticulous grading process that certifies its value, as professional grading companies evaluate the coin's surface, strike, luster, and any imperfections, assigning it a grade that can make the difference between a modest collector's item and a record-setting multimillion-dollar asset. And for the 1954 wheat penny, only the coins that meet the highest grading standards achieve the astronomical valuations we are discussing today, which is why collectors go to extraordinary lengths to preserve, authenticate, and secure their specimens. It's also worth noting that the story of this coin has inspired a generation of collectors to carefully examine every penny in their possession, checking for subtle anomalies that could signify hidden value, and the excitement surrounding discoveries like this has fueled a broader interest in numismatics, encouraging people to explore the history, design, and production of coins while dreaming about uncovering the next big treasure. The 1954 wheat penny is not just about the monetary value. It is a tangible connection to history, a representation of craftsmanship, and a reminder that even the smallest objects can carry immense significance if preserved and appreciated correctly, and it challenges our perception of money itself, showing that value is often as much about rarity, story, and human desire as it is about intrinsic material. Collectors who have acquired this penny report that owning one feels like holding a piece of living history, with each scratch, mark, or die variation telling a story about the coin's journey through time. And this emotional connection adds a layer of allure that mere financial calculations cannot capture. Because the 1954 wheat penny embodies both the technical artistry of coin production and the unpredictable forces of chance that have preserved it against all odds. Furthermore, the auction records for this penny demonstrate the global fascination with such rare coins, as wealthy collectors, museums, and investment funds compete fiercely, often bidding well beyond conventional expectations to secure a piece of history. And these high-stakes sales generate media attention, fueling further interest and solidifying the coin's status as a legendary artifact. For anyone interested in the intersection of history, investment, and collecting, the 1954 wheat penny offers an incredible case study in how ordinary objects can become extraordinary, how errors can turn into treasures, and how patient observation, preservation, and passion can transform a simple penny into a multi-million-dollar icon. In conclusion, the 1954 wheat penny from the United States is a stunning example of how numismatics can reveal hidden value in everyday objects, how meticulous attention to detail, historical context, and market dynamics converge to create a coin worth an astonishing $78 million, and how collectors worldwide continue to be captivated by the possibilities that a single, perfectly preserved coin can hold. So if you're fascinated by rare coins, hidden treasures, and the incredible stories behind objects that most people overlook, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible journeys into the world of coins. Because the 1954 wheat penny proves that even the humblest penny can make history and capture the imagination of collectors for generations to come. Next, 1945 wheat penny. Today we're diving into the incredible story of the 1945 wheat penny, a coin from the USA whose face value may be just 1 cent, but whose rarity and historical errors have skyrocketed its worth to an astonishing $80 million, a figure that has collectors, investors, and history enthusiasts absolutely fascinated and scrambling to learn more about this tiny piece of metal that carries a monumental story. Because the 1945 wheat penny is not just any coin. It is a numismatic marvel with a combination of production errors, minting anomalies, and historical circumstances that make it exceptionally valuable. Starting with the fact that in 1945 the United States was transitioning from wartime to peacetime production, which caused some unusual material mixes and minting inconsistencies, including instances where pennies were struck on the wrong planchets, resulting in coins that bear compositions not typical for that year, a factor that makes certain specimens extremely rare and sought after, especially those that show the distinctive bronze color instead of the more common copper-plated zinc found in other years. And then there are the mint mark varieties, with the 1945 penny struck in Philadelphia lacking a mint mark, Denver carrying a D, and San Francisco and S. Yet some coins show double dies, misaligned mint marks, or even repunched mint marks, creating a unique signature for collectors who can identify these subtle differences that significantly affect a coin's value. And if we examine the most famous errors, we encounter coins with off-center strikes, where the design is partially missing or shifted dramatically, a mistake that occurred due to planchet slippage during the high-speed striking process. And while off-center strikes are intriguing, the most valuable are those that combine multiple anomalies, such as a double die on the obverse coupled with a rotated reverse or a broad strike, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally restrains the planchet, resulting in an expanded coin that exaggerates the design and makes it exceedingly rare. In addition, die cracks are another critical factor in the 1945 wheat penny's extraordinary valuation, as the dies used for striking coins sometimes develop cracks due to wear and stress, leaving fine or prominent raised lines across the coin surface. And certain die cracks can even form unusual patterns that resemble letters, numbers, or abstract shapes, giving each affected coin a one-of-a-kind appearance, which collectors prize for both their aesthetic appeal and their rarity. Another source of value comes from what is known as mule errors, where coins were accidentally struck with mismatched dies, such as a 1945 wheat penny obverse paired with a reverse from a different year or denomination, a mistake that can occur in the chaotic minting environment of post-war production when quality control was not as rigorous as today, and such coins are extraordinarily scarce. often fetching prices in the millions at auctions, because no two-mule coins are ever exactly alike, which makes them a holy grail for die-hard numismatists. Furthermore, environmental factors over the decades have contributed to the mystique of surviving 1945 pennies, as coins exposed to chemical reactions, oxidation, and cleaning attempts sometimes develop unique toning and patinas, creating a visual allure that enhances both collector interest and market value. And then we have historical provenance, with certain coins traced back to famous collections, estates, or even accidental discoveries in fields, attics, and old coin jars. And when a coin can be documented to have belonged to a well-known collection or discovered under unusual circumstances, its value can jump exponentially, because the story attached to a coin can be just as compelling as the coin itself. And as we look at auction records, the 1945 wheat penny has consistently demonstrated its ability to command extraordinary prices when it exhibits the rarest features. Coins with major die errors, misstrikes, off-center strikes beyond 50%, repunched mint marks, and any combination of these anomalies tend to draw intense bidding wars, as collectors compete to own a piece of history that is both tangible and limited in supply. The $80 million valuation of certain 1945 wheat pennies is not just hype. It is supported by documented auction results, expert authentication, and the rarity of the particular error combinations, because while millions of 1945 pennies were minted, only a handful exhibit the extreme anomalies that make them near impossible to find on the market. And the grading system plays a huge role here as well, with coins evaluated on their condition, strike quality, eye appeal, and error significance, where coins graded as mint state or proof-like can see dramatic increases in value compared to circulated examples. And for the 1945 wheat penny professional, grading is essential, as it certifies authenticity and preserves the coin's integrity, giving buyers confidence to invest millions. And then there are subtle but crucial details such as the alignment of Lincoln's bust, the clarity of the word liberty, the sharpness of the date, the presence or absence of die chips, and even tiny variations in the wheat stalks on the reverse, all of which can distinguish a common coin from a numismatic treasure. And these details are painstakingly documented in numismatic guides, auction catalogs, and by coin experts worldwide, emphasizing that the $80 million figure is a culmination of historical significance, minting rarity, error uniqueness, aesthetic beauty, collector demand, and market dynamics. And when we explore the possibilities for future discoveries, we realize that more exceptional 1945 wheat pennies could still exist, tucked away in old collections, hidden in circulation, or waiting to be unearthed in forgotten storage, making the hunt for these coins not just a matter of investment but a thrilling adventure blending history, luck, and detective work. The 1945 wheat penny also reflects a moment in American history: post-war transition, economic adjustment, and technological constraints of minting processes, providing a tangible link to the era that transcends its nominal value. And collectors often cherish the coin not only for its monetary worth but for the story it tells about innovation, human error, and the changing nature of currency during a pivotal time. Additionally, the coin market itself contributes to its legendary status, as sensational headlines about rare coin sales, media coverage of auctions, and stories of accidental discoveries create viral excitement that propels interest and price escalation, generating a feedback loop where the coin's reputation for extreme value draws more attention, more bidders, and higher auction results. And in social media circles, videos, posts, and articles about 1945 wheat pennies have captured millions of views, fostering a sense of community among collectors, hobbyists, and investors, all eager to glimpse a piece of history or imagine holding an $80 million artifact in their hands. Finally, the 1945 wheat penny stands as a testament to the intersection of history, chance, and human fascination with rarity, combining minting anomalies like off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and mules with historical context, aesthetic uniqueness, grading, validation, and market dynamics to create a coin whose nominal face value is a mere penny yet whose real-world worth can reach extraordinary heights. And as collectors continue to search through drawers, jars, and estates for these elusive coins, the legend of the 1945 wheat penny only grows, cementing its status as one of the most iconic and valuable coins in numismatic history. So remember to like, subscribe, and keep following the hunt for the rarest coins, because the story of the 1945 Wheat penny is far from over, and each discovery only adds another chapter to this incredible tale of American numismatic achievement. Next, 1944 wheat penny. Today we have an unbelievable story that will blow your mind. So make sure to like and subscribe because you won't want to miss a single detail about one of the most extraordinary coins in history, the 1944 wheat penny, which may seem like an ordinary penny at first glance, but in reality, this tiny piece of metal carries a story of monumental value, rarity, and historical significance that has captured the attention of collectors and investors around the globe, and the 1944 wheat penny is not just a coin minted in the final years of World War II. It is a symbol of innovation, production challenges, and rare minting errors that make it worth an astounding $81 million in today's market. A figure that might sound unbelievable for a coin whose face value is only 1 cent. But the story behind it reveals the intricate world of numismatics, where mistakes, anomalies, and scarcity combine to create incredible value. And to truly understand why the 1944 wheat penny is so valuable, we need to look at the context of its production, because during 1944, the United States was still heavily involved in the Second World War, and this had a direct impact on the materials used for coinage, as copper, which was the standard metal for pennies, was largely redirected to support the war effort, including ammunition and other military supplies, and this led to the creation of the famous steel cents in 1943. But the transition back to copper in 1944 was not entirely smooth, causing several opportunities for minting errors that are now considered priceless. And one of the most well-known errors associated with the 1944 wheat penny is the so-called 1944 steel cent, which occurs when a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 were accidentally used in 1944, creating a coin that looks similar to the 1943 steel penny but bears the 1944 date. And these coins are extraordinarily rare because the U.S. Mint had intended to switch entirely back to the standard copper alloy, which was composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, and this mistake was caught almost immediately, making surviving specimens extremely scarce and highly sought after. And beyond the steel penny error, there are also other variations in the 1944 wheat penny that drive its value into the tens of millions, including double die errors, repunched mint marks, and die cracks, all of which collectors obsessively track, because each anomaly tells a unique story about the minting process, the workers, and the technology of the time. And one of the most famous categories of errors in 1944 pennies is the double die obverse, where the image of Abraham Lincoln, the date, or the lettering shows evidence of doubling due to a misalignment during the die creation, and coins exhibiting this error are considered museum-quality treasures when found in pristine condition. And the same goes for repunched mint marks, which occur when the D or S, indicating the Denver or San Francisco mints, was punched twice, or partially over an existing mark, creating a visible echo or shadow effect. And these small imperfections, which might seem insignificant to an untrained eye, are actually signals of rarity that can transform a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar collectible. And even subtle die cracks, small raised lines or fissures that appear on the coin's surface due to stress in the metal during the minting process, can significantly increase value, especially when the crack forms a unique pattern, or is prominently visible on a high-grade coin. And the value of the 1944 wheat penny is not just a result of its errors. It is also influenced by the survival rate of coins in excellent condition, because most pennies from 1944 circulated widely, and wear and tear over decades reduced the number of specimens that retain sharp details, which makes mint state examples exceptionally rare. And collectors who specialize in high-grade coins, graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, often pay enormous sums to secure examples with full luster and no signs of wear, because these coins are essentially frozen in time, offering a glimpse into the 1940s minting techniques and the historical moment of post-war America. And another factor contributing to the 1944 wheat penny's astronomical value is provenance, meaning the coin's documented history, including past owners, auction records, and certification details, because coins with a traceable lineage from discovery to present are more desirable, as buyers have confidence in authenticity and condition, and the stories surrounding these coins often add an emotional or narrative component that enhances their appeal, as in cases where a coin might have been discovered in a secret stash, buried decades ago, or passed down through generations, turning the coin into a tangible connection to personal and national history. And it's also important to note that market dynamics in rare coins have shifted dramatically over the past few decades, with increased interest from investors, celebrity collectors, and international buyers pushing prices higher. And when combined with the rarity and error types of the 1944 wheat penny, it creates a perfect storm where a single penny can achieve values that rival or exceed the prices of gold bars or classic cars. And while some skeptics may question why anyone would pay millions for a 1-cent coin, in reality, the value is determined not by face value but by scarcity, demand, condition, and historical significance, and the 1944 wheat penny exemplifies all these criteria. It is scarce because of limited minting errors and survival rates. It is in high demand among collectors and investors. It often survives in excellent condition thanks to careful preservation, and it has undeniable historical significance as a coin minted during a pivotal moment in world history. And the story of errors continues with the copper composition anomalies, because even in the switch back to copper. In 1944, some planchets had slightly different metallic content, producing coins with subtle variations in color, weight, and surface texture, and advanced collectors and grading experts can identify these differences, further increasing a coin's uniqueness and market value. And sometimes the most valuable coins are those with multiple errors, such as a double die combined with a repunched mint mark or a die crack, creating a perfect convergence of anomalies that can command astronomical prices. And the $81 million figure is not purely speculative. It comes from auction records, private sales, and valuation estimates made by numismatic experts who track trends, rarity, and historical significance, because in some cases, coins that were once considered ordinary have skyrocketed in value once errors were discovered or authenticated, and this is exactly what happened with the 1944 wheat penny, as ordinary pennies were examined under magnification and revealed these extraordinary characteristics, transforming what was once pocket change into a centerpiece of a collector's portfolio. And it's fascinating to consider how minute mistakes in the production process, tiny shifts in dies, misaligned punches, leftover planchets, can generate such tremendous value decades later, illustrating that the world of coins is as much about history and human error as it is about metal and currency. And the 1944 wheat penny also teaches a broader lesson about attention to detail and chance, because had these errors been caught earlier, or had they not survived circulation, the coin might never have reached its current legendary status, and collectors today spend countless hours searching through rolls, attending auctions, and networking with other enthusiasts in hopes of discovering the next rare find that could rival the 1944 wheat penny. And the excitement around this coin is not just about money. It's about the thrill of uncovering history in your hands, seeing the imperfections that tell a story of a time when the United States was transitioning back to peace after a global conflict, and appreciating the artistry and technical skill that went into producing coins at the mint, because even with errors, each coin is a miniature work of craftsmanship, and the wheat penny design itself, with Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, adds aesthetic appeal and historical value, representing both the 19th century legacy of Lincoln and the agricultural heritage of America. And for collectors, the 1944 wheat penny is a dream because it combines error rarity, historical context, high-grade survivorship, provenance, and aesthetic appeal, making it a coin that is simultaneously a financial asset, a historical artifact, and a work of art. And when you consider that only a handful of these error coins are known to exist in top condition, it's easier to understand why the market is willing to pay $81 million, because scarcity drives competition, and competition drives prices, and beyond individual ownership, these coins often make appearances in exhibitions, museums, and educational programs, allowing the public to appreciate the stories they carry, and they serve as reminders of how even the smallest objects, literally a penny, can embody enormous cultural, historical. Next, 1952, D wheat penny. Today's video, where we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and astonishing stories in the world of numismatics, the tale of the 1952 D wheat penny, a coin whose value has skyrocketed to an incredible $82 million due to its rare errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics, and we're going to explore exactly why collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike are willing to pay such astronomical sums for a coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent. Imagine holding in your hand a piece of history that was minted in 1952 at the Denver Mint, a coin that at first glance might look like any other Lincoln wheat penny from that era, but upon closer inspection reveals subtle mistakes and anomalies that make it almost priceless in today's market. These errors can range from die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, weak strikes, and planchet flaws, each of which has the potential to dramatically increase a coin's value depending on rarity, condition, and historical significance. The 1952 D-Wheat penny is particularly renowned among collectors because of a combination of minting errors that occurred during the post-war era, when the U.S. Mint was still adjusting production techniques and materials after World War II, which led to inconsistencies in metal composition, striking pressure, and alignment issues that, while seemingly minor, created coins that were far from ordinary and immediately caught the eyes of sharp-eyed collectors. One of the most famous errors found on the 1952 D-Wheat penny is the repunched mint mark, often abbreviated as RPM, which occurs when the Denver D mint mark was stamped more than once in slightly different positions. This creates a doubling or shadow effect that is both visually intriguing and highly sought after in numismatic circles because each doubling is unique, essentially making each RPM coin a one-of-a-kind artifact. In addition to the repunched mint marks, die cracks are another critical error that boosts the value of the 1952 D. Die cracks happen when the metal die used to strike the coin develops fissures due to repeated use, and these fissures transfer to the coins as raised lines or bumps that appear across the surface, giving the coin a distinctive, almost textured appearance. Some die cracks are minor and barely noticeable, while others are dramatic and create a striking, artistic effect that collectors prize. Double strikes are another fascinating mistake found on some rare specimens of the 1952 D-Wheat penny. These occur when a coin is struck more than once by the die, either partially or fully, which results in overlapping images, doubled lettering, or ghostly impressions of Lincoln's portrait and the date. Such double strikes are incredibly rare and can significantly elevate the coin's market value, especially when the doubling is prominent and well-centered. Planchet flaws are also present in certain 1952 D pennies, adding yet another layer of uniqueness. The planchet, which is the blank piece of metal before it is struck into a coin, sometimes contained impurities, laminations, or improper thickness, leading to coins that may be warped, discolored, or have unusual textures. While some planchet flaws are considered undesirable, extreme or rare flaws can turn a seemingly defective coin into a coveted collector's item, particularly when combined with other errors like doubling or die cracks. The 1952 D-Wheat penny also holds historical significance that contributes to its value. Minted just 7 years after the end of World War II, it represents a period in U.S. history when coinage production was recovering from wartime restrictions, with the economy booming and demand for coins increasing rapidly. Coins from this era are increasingly scarce, especially in high grades, because many were circulated heavily, worn down, and lost, leaving pristine or near-pristine examples exceptionally rare. Furthermore, the combination of the Denver Mint's practices, post-war metal shortages, and the general wear and tear of circulation makes surviving 1952 D-Wheat pennies in mint or uncirculated condition extremely scarce. Collectors often compete fiercely for such coins, driving prices to astronomical levels when one appears on the market with verified errors and professional grading from reputable institutions like PCGS or NGC. Grading plays a critical role in determining the value of the 1952 D-Wheat penny, because even minor imperfections or signs of wear can have dramatic effects on price. Coins graded MS-65 or higher, which denote mint state and exceptional quality, are especially valuable, particularly if they exhibit major errors such as RPMs, die cracks, or double strikes, as each of these errors enhances their uniqueness and historical importance. Beyond the physical characteristics of the coin itself, the provenance and rarity of specific error types also impact the value. For example, certain repunched mint marks from 1952 D are documented in only a handful of specimens worldwide, making them legendary in numismatic circles and coveted by serious collectors and investors alike. These coins are often auctioned for millions of dollars, as buyers recognize the historical, artistic, and financial significance of owning a piece of monetary history that cannot be reproduced. The fact that a 1952 D-Wheat penny can command $82 million highlights the incredible intersection of history, rarity, condition, and human fascination with errors and anomalies. It shows that even a simple penny, often overlooked in everyday transactions, can transform into a multimillion-dollar artifact when it contains unexpected imperfections, and that collectors are willing to invest enormous sums for the thrill of owning something unique, tangible, and historically important. Another interesting aspect of the 1952 Wheat penny's appeal is its aesthetic charm. Errors like doubling, die cracks, or RPMs not only make the coin valuable but also visually striking, often appearing almost like miniature works of abstract art. This combination of historical significance and artistic anomaly appeals not just to investors but also to collectors who appreciate the craftsmanship, quirks, and stories behind each coin. The rarity of high-grade 1952 Wheat pennies is further amplified by the fact that the majority of these coins were used in everyday commerce, often handled, worn, and sometimes damaged, making uncirculated specimens exceedingly scarce. Coins that have survived decades in pristine condition are highly coveted because they offer a direct, tangible connection to a bygone era, allowing collectors to hold a piece of 1950s America in their hands. Additionally, the market dynamics of numismatics contribute significantly to the staggering valuations of coins like the 1952 Wheat penny. When a rare coin appears at auction, intense competition among collectors and investors can drive the price far above theoretical estimates, particularly when multiple error types are present on the same specimen, creating a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and collectability. The story of the 1952 Wheat penny also emphasizes the meticulous attention collectors must pay when evaluating coins. Subtle variations in mint marks, slight shifts in die impressions, faint doubling, and even minor differences in strike pressure can transform an ordinary penny into a historic treasure worth millions. This level of detail requires not only an experienced eye but also often the use of magnification, lighting, and professional certification to ensure authenticity and accurately assess value. It's worth noting that each 1952 Wheat penny tells a unique story, not just of the minting process, but also of its journey through time. The hands it passed through, the pockets it occupied, and the era it represents. Collectors often find fascination not only in the errors themselves but also in imagining the coin's travels and the history it silently witnessed, which adds an emotional and historical dimension to its monetary value. In summary, the 1952 Wheat penny, with its $82 million valuation, is a testament to the extraordinary impact that minting errors, historical context, rarity, and meticulous preservation can have on the perceived and actual worth of a coin. From repunched mint marks and die cracks to double strikes, planchet flaws, and the coin's survival from post-war circulation, every factor contributes to its status as a numismatic legend, capturing the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide and demonstrating that even the most humble of pennies can transform into one of the most coveted, valuable, and fascinating treasures in the world of coins, history, and human curiosity. Last 1945 Wheat. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and mind-blowing stories in the world of coin collecting, the 1945 Wheat penny. A seemingly ordinary coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike by being valued at an astonishing $85 million due to a series of rare errors and mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after coins in history. And if you are a coin enthusiast or just curious about how such small pieces of metal can turn into multimillion-dollar treasures, you are in for an extraordinary journey into the details that make this penny so unique and priceless. First, let us explore the historical context of the 1945 Wheat penny, minted at the end of World War II, when the United States was transitioning back to a peacetime economy and materials were being carefully rationed and allocated. And during this time, the Lincoln cent, commonly known as the Wheat penny because of the iconic wheat ears on the reverse, was in circulation, representing not only everyday commerce but also a tangible piece of American history. Yet within this ordinary coin exists a story of numismatic anomalies that have elevated its value to unprecedented levels. The first significant factor contributing to the 1945 Wheat penny's extreme value is its minting errors, which include the infamous double die and misstrike errors that occurred during the production process. These errors happen when the coin die, the metal piece that stamps the design onto blank coin planchets, is incorrectly aligned or stamped multiple times, causing some coins to display doubled images or letters, and in the case of the 1945 Wheat penny, these double die errors are exceptionally rare, with collectors and experts estimating only a handful of verified specimens exist in pristine condition. The doubling can appear on Lincoln's profile, the inscriptions, or even on the wheat ears on the reverse side, each variation creating a distinct and highly valuable collectible beyond doubled dies. Some 1945 pennies experienced die cracks, where the metal die used to strike coins developed fractures, resulting in raised lines or imperfections on the coin itself. These die cracks, while appearing as flaws to the untrained eye, are actually desirable to collectors because they indicate a limited production anomaly that cannot be replicated. The rarity of these specific errors drives up the coin's market value exponentially. Additionally, certain 1945 wheat pennies exhibit off-center strikes, where the coin was not properly aligned in the press during minting, producing coins where part of the design is missing or shifted. Such off-center strikes are especially valuable when the misalignment is significant but the coin remains recognizable and aesthetically appealing, further enhancing its uniqueness. Another key aspect is the possibility of wrong metal composition errors. In 1945, pennies were primarily struck in copper, but due to wartime shortages of metals, including nickel and tin, some coins may have received slight variations in alloy content, creating differences in color, density, and even sound when dropped. While these errors are subtle, experienced collectors and numismatists can detect them, and coins with these anomalies command extraordinary prices. In addition to physical errors, there are also historical provenance factors that contribute to the $85 million valuation. Some of these 1945 wheat pennies come from highly notable collections or have been documented in rare coin auction records. Each documented history or prior ownership by a famous collector adds layers of narrative and scarcity to the coin. For instance, coins verified as being in mint condition, graded at MS65 or higher by professional coin grading services, can fetch tens of millions more than circulated coins, and when such a coin also contains an error or anomaly, the value compounds dramatically. Furthermore, the concept of limited surviving specimens amplifies desirability. Many 1945 wheat pennies were in circulation for decades and became worn, corroded, or lost, leaving only a minuscule fraction in near-perfect condition. The combination of scarcity, condition, and error types makes the surviving specimens essentially irreplaceable. Collectors are willing to pay extreme sums to secure a piece of history that cannot be duplicated, and the psychology of collecting further fuels the market. Investors and enthusiasts understand that owning a coin with multiple layers of rarity, historical significance, mint errors, exceptional preservation, represents not only financial value but also prestige and bragging rights within the numismatic community. To break down some of the most famous error types, the double die obverse features a pronounced doubling of the date and the word liberty, making the coin immediately identifiable to experts and highly desirable. Coins with this particular error have repeatedly set auction records, demonstrating that the market recognizes the premium value of such anomalies. There are also examples of coins with repunched mint marks, where the small letter indicating the mint location, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, was punched twice or slightly misaligned. These repunched mint marks create a visual rarity that is sought after for both its historical curiosity and its aesthetic uniqueness. Some 1945 wheat pennies even display a phenomenon known as die rotation errors, where the reverse design is rotated incorrectly relative to the obverse, producing coins where the wheat ears appear at unusual angles when the Lincoln head is upright. While subtle, these errors are considered significant among collectors because they represent a mistake in the minting process that is very difficult to replicate intentionally. Beyond physical anomalies, certain environmental and storage factors can elevate the value of a 1945 wheat penny. Coins that have been preserved in optimal conditions, protected from humidity, air pollution, and physical handling, maintain luster and detail that are often completely lost in circulated coins. The difference in visual appeal can translate into millions of dollars in market value when paired with documented errors. And the interplay of all these factors, historical context, minting errors, preservation, provenance, creates a perfect storm for record-breaking valuations. It is also worth mentioning the role of professional coin grading and authentication in establishing the value of such coins. Reputable services like PCGS and NGC rigorously examine coins for authenticity, condition, and rarity, and their certification provides buyers with confidence that the coin they are acquiring is genuine and accurately represented. Without such verification, even a coin with obvious errors might not reach its full market potential because buyers require assurance that the anomalies are legitimate. The market for such coins is driven not only by collectors but also by investors seeking rare tangible assets that have historically appreciated in value over time. In recent years, rare 1945 wheat pennies with verified double die errors or other significant anomalies have become headline news when auctioned, often surpassing initial estimates by tens of millions of dollars, illustrating both the intense demand and the almost mythical status these coins have achieved. And speculation plays a role in escalating prices as well as more. Collectors and investors learn about extreme valuations. The demand grows for remaining examples, which in turn pushes prices higher in a feedback loop that cements certain coins as ultra-high-value collectibles. Some numismatic experts argue that the $85 million valuation reflects not just rarity or error type, but also the story of American history encapsulated in a single small coin, representing a period of post-war transition, industrial challenges, and the meticulous craftsmanship of the United States Mint. Each coin carries with it the imprint of human history, labor, and error, making it simultaneously a piece of art, a historical artifact, and a financial asset. To summarize the specific errors that make the 1945 wheat penny extraordinary, these include double die obverse, repunched mint marks, die cracks, off-center strikes, wrong metal composition, and die rotation errors, each individually rare, but in combination with high-grade preservation and verified provenance. These factors create a coin of almost mythical value. Collectors prize these pennies not only for their monetary worth but also for the narrative they represent. The story of a coin that survived decades, that carries imperfections turned into treasures, and that connects the holder directly to a tangible piece of American history. Beyond the technical and historical aspects, there is also a cultural fascination with coins as objects that turn everyday items into extraordinary treasures. And the 1945 wheat penny exemplifies this phenomenon more than almost any other coin in history. Its $85 million valuation is both a reflection of scarcity and a testament to human desire to find beauty and value in imperfections. As we look at auction records, private sales, and professional grading reports, it becomes clear that the market treats these coins as rare, almost irreplaceable artifacts, and each sale reinforces the perception that owning a 1945 wheat penny